Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo De Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite sports icons and athletes. I'm Boom Gonzalez, and in tonight's game plan, we'll find out what to expect in the PVL All-Filipino Conference as teams look to break into the win column.
We'll also break down the big games over the weekend in the ongoing PBA Governor's Cup. And we'll take a look at Nikola Jokic's performance this season as he could be on his way to a third MVP award. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Four teams in the PVL have yet to get a taste of victory in the All-Filipino Conference. Among them are the Akari Chargers and the Cignal HD Spikers. For tomorrow's Valentine's Day clash in the heart of volleyball, Cignal will take on the Akari Chargers at 4 p.m. at the Big Dome. And for the second serving of the day, the Creamline Cool Smashers and the Choco Mucho Flying Titans will challenge each other at 6:30 p.m. To give us a preview of those exciting games, we have with us a heartbreaker, volleyball analyst, Ayala Estraniero. Welcome back to the game.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me tonight.
All right, so let's get started first with the two teams without wins yet. Itong si Cignal and si Akari, mixed bag so far in terms of their performances. And you highlighted a few players that you felt could make a big difference. Mula muna natin sa Cignal, you said Ces Molina, what can she do to make a difference in hopes to getting the first win?
So far, it's really Ces Molina who's actually stepping up for the Cignal HD Spikers. She's been in double digits for their past few games. But again, we talked about Cignal progressing so well in the previous conferences last year, but it doesn't seem to translate in how they're starting this All-Filipino Conference. So they're struggling a lot in the defense, that it creates a domino effect with the offense side of their game. The losses they've had are losses that, I don't want to say it, but it's a not so good game for them.
Right.
So they really have to play well and play consistent in their game against Akari tomorrow to have that first win. So,
And you would know,
Yeah.
obviously you were formerly with the team, you know them very well, you know how they really play. So why do you think they're in a little bit of a funk right now in this first two games? Is it a scheduling thing? Is it, unfortunately, Creamline is also like coming out at a house of fire in that second game?
I know very well that when the team has that consecutive losses, especially when it's something that is they feel like they're really good at, they feel so prepared, and then suddenly they're not able to execute. So it's a lot about execution as well. And then it translates into the mental aspect of the game, that we see very well that they seem to doubt themselves during the game. It shows, like what Boom said, in volleyball,
Yeah.
the emotions shows a lot in the faces of the players, and it shows in the Cignal HD Spikers. So that's something that they really need to surpass, especially in the early stages of the tournament. Like what we said, it's single round. Every
Yeah.
game is very important.
You mentioned the word doubt. What will a win do here for Cignal?
It's everything, you know. It's like a switch. I've been with a team. A win really switches us differently before. So one win could mean a streak of wins in the season for them.
Which also could mean that could happen to Akari.
Yeah.
That switch, because they're down 0-2. You've been part of a new team when Cignal was new. That's, what, a year and a half ago, relatively. So now Akari is going through all of these birth pains. Also a tough start. What are we looking at when it comes to them, even with their new hires who are doing well for them, actually?
Didin Manabat, Santiago Manabat and Bang Pineda really doing a lot in terms of offense and defense. Bang Pineda with 26 digs in their game against F2 really helped them in terms of defense. Dindin Santiago Manabat in terms of scoring, producing a lot for the team. But again, it's their crucial errors. They would rally, they would have streaks of points, but then in the most crucial parts of the game, that's where they make the errors. That's the difference they have with Cignal in their past few games, they really have a bad performance. With Akari, they would play well, but they seem to have the difficulty to close a set and to close a match.
Right.
Are the errors and the difficulties that you're seeing right now a function? Kasi bata pa rin yung team na to or wala pa yung gelling. What is it?
I think it really comes in. It's one of the factors that are really giving them a difficult time to play, like to gel, especially that the ones who are working really well for them are new. We're actually still trying to build that chemistry with them. And they're composed of a really young players. So alam mo yun, when they're put against a team who is full of veterans, you really see the difference in terms of maturity.
All right, we'll wish them luck tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big one, but that's the appetizer to the other big one. The sister teams go at it. Creamline and Choco Mucho, you made the point that they are even faster right now, talking about Creamline. Choco Mucho is at 1-1. They have not penetrated the Creamline vault. They have not won against Creamline. Now with the new coach, kasi it's Coach Oyon. Now with the new coach, what can they do tomorrow? How do you see this match going?
With how Choco Mucho played against Petrogas, who relatively also plays a fast-paced
Fast, yeah.
kind of volleyball, they really need to have that quick adjustment, in-game adjustment, because I'm pretty sure they're preparing well for Creamline tomorrow. But again, Creamline is a really fast team.
Yeah.
They played faster compared to their first game against
think
Petrogas.
so, yeah, that's what you said, yeah.
Exactly, and so they have to have that in-game adjustment, so they have to really maximize each player in the team, especially that they have the complete pieces for a win. They have middle attackers who are really tall. They have very versatile wing attackers. They have a setter who is really good in terms of distribution. And they have then Lazaro Revilla, who has been the highlight of their games, who has been the non-scoring part, is keeping them alive in terms of rallies. But they have sort of an issue in terms of converting. But again, Creamline just really playing their best so far.
Well, you mentioned si Denden, who you actually identified as your key piece to winning para sa Choco Mucho. Sa kabila naman, you named Gia de Guzman. And I think for a lot of good reasons. But could you break that down for us, and how does she complement yung speed that you were talking about a while ago?
She's pacing it. She's the one who's actually leading the fast-paced volleyball that they're playing. And in terms of leadership and setting distribution, she's really able to give her players the opportunity to shine. And I'm not just saying the opportunity to score. I'm saying opportunity to shine. Because whenever they're given that ball, there's at least just one blocker in front of them or no blocker in front of them. There's just so much room for them to choose what attack to give.
27 excellent sets in the first game, 25 in the next game. She's speeding up the game. Strangely enough, Denden Lazaro Revilla said in her interview, and she told me also personally, her job now is to slow down that first ball. What does that mean, and how it will work tomorrow?
It will really work well for Choco Mucho, especially that the balls coming in from Creamline will be fast for sure. They will maximize the spaces between the blocks, very capable because Gia is playing so well. Creamline as a team is playing flawless volleyball. I couldn't see any loopholes from the team right now so far. So her defense will be very instrumental for them. But again,
Conversion
is very important because you win a set by earning a point.
Yeah. Ayel, we're not going to ask you for any predictions because we're nice. But again, thank you very much for your time, and we can't wait for the games tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
We'll be all watching tomorrow. Now, in the meantime, after the break, we'll break down the big games of the weekend in the PBA Governor's Cup this time. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Another PBA weekend has passed and teams scored big-time wins in the Governor's Cup elimination round. And joining us tonight to break down some of the matchups is PBA Rush analyst Mark Molina. Coach, welcome back. And a lot of good games to talk about. The Manila Clasico is always a great topic to talk about, but this one, I heard, was the biggest blowout since 2003. Give me your initial input on what happened between Magnolia and Ginebra.
Well, it wasn't that much of a Clasico last night, especially for Barangay Ginebra. I mean, give credit to Magnolia.
Right.
Yep.
But I thought the Ginebra team that played last night was on the tired side. Very, very fatigued. I think that was their fourth game in a week to 8 days. Of course, we all know that they had a long Commissioner's Cup.
Season, last time.
Really tired legs for them, and it showed. In fact, Coach Tim Cone did not play Scotty the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah.
To rest for the next games.
Yeah, and not to make any excuses for Barangay Ginebra, but you pair the fact that they had a short break plus the conference prior ended really late as well. It was obvious na physically and probably mentally they weren't necessarily there. But then, itong Magnolia, 2 straight wins right now, especially after adding Antonio Hester and having Mark Baroca suddenly turn back the clock and look like he's a college player once again. When you take a look at the two of them, in particular si Hester, just how different does this Magnolia team look like compared to the 0-3 Magnolia team of a few games ago?
When you're playing in an import-laden conference, the imports give the locals the confidence. Without the imports, or not without a decent import, the locals will not play well. In that first game of Hester, they were 0-3. Hester came in, provided a lot of energy, and then he provided the inside game that Magnolia is sorely lacking, especially without Ian Sangalang in this conference. And then when the locals see that, it gives them confidence, it gives them hope that we can be contenders this conference. And we saw that with Baroca coming off the bench. He was amazing
Yes, he was.
last night, hitting from left and right. Also, of course, always a factor in the defensive end. Paul Lee started that game very well. The locals really
Calvin
responded.
Abueva,
Calvin, yeah.
almost a
Calvin.
double-double.
Yep,
also.
it starts with the import because
Okay.
of the hope that he gives that we can be contenders
Right.
this conference because of this guy.
Is filling that Ian Sangalang void.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially 28 points, 18 rebounds, 9 assists for Antonio Hester in that game. As we move on to another game, Converge taking down the erstwhile unbeaten SMB with Junmar Fajardo, barely, a difference maker. When
Yeah.
it comes to the numbers, when you look at the numbers, did not make double figures, but what was your key takeaways from that game as they give them their first defeat?
Historically, this is the conference San Miguel struggles the most.
Yeah.
They dominate the Philippine
Yeah.
Cup. With big imports, they play better. With the smaller 6'4", 6'5" imports who are high scoring, this is where Junmar struggles the most. Because these imports like Jamal Franklin,
Right.
they can attack Junmar's pick and roll defense. When you look at Junmar, he has 2 main weaknesses. One is his pick and roll defense and transition defense.
Yeah.
And that's what Coach Aldin Ayo mentioned in that press conference. We have to
Post-game.
play with pace. We have to shoot from the outside. We have to attack the pick and roll game against Junmar. And when you have an import like Franklin, who's good in pick and roll situations, he's the perfect guy to attack Junmar. So they took him out of the game.
And you know what? You take a look at the fact that you had to take out Junmar for the game for the sake of your team. It's wild to think about. But then it's not a new secret. It's not an old secret. It's a new secret rather, because Bay Area Dragons did this to Junmar Fajardo when they played last time around. Attacked him with speed and attacking him off the dribble and the pick and roll. Other teams in the past have also done it. But then why was it so successful in particular in this game?
You're right that it's not. But with bigger imports, like in the previous conference with Bay Area Dragons, you don't have enough weapons to attack Junmar. Because he can play, even if you're bigger, Junmar can match up better. But with high-scoring imports like Franklin, like Hudson of TNT, that's where Junmar struggles. And of course, add to the fact that Junmar is also not having an ideal conference. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's 100%. But the numbers of Junmar, even when they were winning, they won their first 5 games. Not usual for the MVP.
For context, for those who didn't see, 7 points, 10 rebounds, fouling out with under 3 minutes left, I think, in that game. And then, as you mentioned, Jamal Franklin, 37 points, 9 and 7. Anisi with 15 and 6 to back it up. Now, TNT, third straight win. They beat Terra Firma. What's going right for them in the 3-game winning streak?
They have a good import in Hudson.
Yep.
I was wrong. The first time I saw Jalen Hudson, I thought he was good. But I didn't think he was the right import for TNT because they have so many good perimeter players. They added another perimeter player, a prolific perimeter player. But now it's like a 3-point shooting overload here for TNT.
Yeah.
But it's
68
working.
points, diba? Yung parang first half nila, that was a 68
Something
point
like that.
output.
And Hudson like had a 55 or 57 point game.
56 the previous
56
game.
previously.
Right.
So it's working for them. They're playing like an NBA team with 4 or 5 shooters on the floor.
Yeah.
They're playing without a natural big man. They're using Calvin Aftana at the 4. These are things that I wasn't 100% convinced could work in the PBA because of people like Junmar Fajardo. But so far, TNT is proving us wrong. Although, they have not played Ginebra. They have not played San Miguel. So it's going to be interesting when TNT finally matches up with the bigger teams in the tournament.
Well, we also have to mention Mikey Williams, who has turned around the conference after a relatively slow start.
Yep.
There was a game where he had 9 points, but then this time around with 26 points. Looks like the same Mikey Williams as before. And you take a look at how TNT winning their third straight. Do you feel that they are firmly in the contention to being one of the tournament favorites here, considering the way that their import has looked alongside this group?
Absolutely. You pair Jason, Mikey Williams, Al Arpogoy, Oftana, and then their import. It's overload of perimeter firepower.
Yeah.
Which is what Coach Jolas also wants. I mean, they're pretty much playing as a Chotre style system still with TNT. And so this is what they love. They love to attack. It's a 5-out offense and with everybody scoring from the outside.
Well, you know what? We're going to see whether or not they'll make it as far as they want to, and let's see whether or not TNT will be in contention for the finals sooner rather than later. Coach, we're not done with you yet, because after the break, we'll take a look at Nikola Jokic's performance this season as he could be on his way to a third MVP award according to our writer. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. back. You're watching the game. The Joker is still at the top of the MVP race midway through the season. Well, will this be enough, though, to secure a third straight MVP trophy? Now, with us to answer just that is basketball analyst Coach Mark Molina. Coach, do you agree with that he will end up the MVP? Isn't voter fatigue going to creep in? Again, looking for his third MVP. And of course, midway through the season, is it too early? Or is it fine enough for us to say that, okay, this is the guy that's probably going to get it?
The funny thing with Jokic, this is his best season. He's playing now, he's better now than the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He has more triple-doubles now. The team has a better record now. They're playing more. They're legitimate title contenders this year as compared to the last two.
That's true.
So those are things that are really going towards his case for a third straight MVP. But you mentioned voter fatigue. That is a real thing. Because how many greats, Michael Jordan included, Magic Johnson, LeBron James,
Giannis,
they never won a third straight. It's always 1-2 and then done. So it's a real thing, because if there was no voter fatigue, Michael Jordan should have won maybe 10 MVPs during the 90s, but it didn't happen. So it's a strong case. It happened probably to Giannis also a couple of years ago when Jokic won his first. The case is there for sure, because he's better now than the last couple of years. But there are other. I think it's down to 4. It's Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, and Tatum.
Tatum was the first initial rush of votes early, and they still have the best.
And I think the
record.
Celtics will probably end up with the best record. They're far away from the other 3, but those 4 I think all have a shot at winning it.
Okay, we only have time for one more question. So my question is this: we've established that already, but other than voter fatigue, is the fact that they haven't had true success in the playoffs also sometimes a factor in the minds of the voters, the media, and all of that? True success, meaning going all the way with the in the last few years, and then the West becomes even tougher after all of these trades.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a regular season award.
Yes,
it's
of course.
voted at the end of the regular season.
But people think
from what happened.
You know what I mean? That's how they think.
Maybe, but if people thought that way, LeBron and Michael Jordan should have more MVPs. So I think at the end of the day, they still look at the regular season record, the regular season, the stats and all. And that's why the last couple of seasons, one was Jokic, second was Embiid. And both those teams, the Sixers and the Nuggets, they didn't even make the conference finals.
And Embiid could have won those, by the way.
That's right. That was very close.
Very
and
close.
it's crazy that Embiid has been number 2. So if you have friends from the NBA, Embiid is number 2 in the MVP race, but was never part of the All-NBA team.
Yeah.
Because of positioning, whatever.
Yeah, that's always going to be a strange thing that we have to discuss. Coach Mark, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for all of that. And you know we're going to have you again very soon.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you, by the way, for joining us tonight. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Paulo De Rosario. This has been The Game.